for information. If you want to go back and rewatch this for information that you might have missed, that you wanted to double check on, you can do so from our coach resource page from the SOMD website. And you can also find these slides there as well.
Zach, hey, I muted everybody because we were getting background, but you'll need to unmute.
Yep, we're good, unmuted. So we'll get rolling here. Again, good evening, everybody. I'm Zach Cintron. I'm the sports director that oversees swimming. I believe I've met most of you at some point before, whether it was running around at summer games at some point or one of the other events. We've probably run into each other at least once. Our venue director for the event will be Neil Coffey. He will be not joining us tonight, but you will see him on site at the event itself. So the agenda for tonight, give you an idea. We're going to talk a little bit about the competition, the schedule, give you a view of the venue since some of you haven't been there before. And again, it is not Towson this year for our Summer Games event. And then some information about the competition and Summer Games swimming overall. Again, if you have a question, feel free to type it into the chat box. Feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute you as well. But I will also take questions at the end if you want to hold them. So that's up to you, whichever way you want to go about that. The big important notice that I want to remind folks of straight out the gate is that we did have some changes to our return to activities and COVID protocols for Special Olympics. But we are going into this event on the 26th using the 2A protocol. So the phase 2 protocols, essentially, that we used for the Summer Games events that we did at Towson, not this past weekend, but the weekend prior. And so what that means is you can see what phase 2A looks like. Again, it's we have the capacity to go up to 500 people. You can have indirect contact. So that means if you touch a pair of goggles and somebody else touches a pair of goggles, that's okay. We'd love for them to be sanitized in between, but that is okay. Still no direct contact. So unfortunately, when you get on site, if you see your friends or coaches or other people, we're still not doing hugs and high fives and that kind of stuff. So again, no touching. We are still doing our 6 feet of social distancing. You will see that we will have all of our chairs for staging socially distanced. All the athletes will be socially distant. Even in the pool, we're doing every other lane to keep social distance. And again, we're going to do our pre-screening. If you're not in the pool, you need to be wearing your mask. So mask on unless you're in the pool. Everybody still needs their CDW forms filled out, which everybody that's been participating has filled out at this point. So thank you for doing that. And that's the main stuff. Again, what you've experienced in this spring season is what we're going to continue to do through Saturday. Even though we had a little bit of a tweak, we wanted to hold the same precedent that we went into this season with, because everybody that registered expected us more than realistically to be in phase 2 when it came to the event. So we don't want to change those expectations for people and or make anyone uncomfortable. So again, Neil Coffey is our venue director. I am the swimming sports lead from the staff at Special Olympics Maryland. And Rob Dobry will be our head official as usual at Summer Games. We will have 4 USA Swim certified officials coming to officiate the event. We wanted to make this as much like Summer Games as possible. While it's going to be a different venue and you guys are going to be outside enjoying the sun a little bit more, it's going to be just as much of a competition as when you go to Summer Games at Towson. So the event schedule, just to give everybody a reminder, I think the most important piece here, again, is the team registration and screening. Please, please, please be there in the window of 9 to 9:30 to register. If you can get there earlier, that's great. We'll get you registered beforehand. But we got to make sure we get everybody screened and checked in that is participating throughout the day. We have a head coaches meeting where we'll update all the coaches. They'll get all the up-to-the-minute information. We will have an opening welcome ceremony at the venue. The athletes, coaches, and participants will be inside on the pool deck. Spectators and family members will be outside the fence on the spectator area, which you'll see a picture of later. You still got a great view. You'll be able to see and hear everything from there. It's fantastic that we get an opportunity at an outside pool. And then competition is going to kick off at 9:45. Once everyone's done with competition, we will award everybody, and that'll be it. It's mostly a half-day event. We'll be ready to go, and we ask you guys again, please show up during that registration and screening window so we can get everybody taken care of, so we don't fall behind on our schedule. So the Great Mills Pool, we do have a venue map here that I'd like to show so you can get an idea if you haven't been there before. For our folks from St. Mary's, they train at this pool specifically, so they have a good idea. For our Upper Shore friends, this is probably the first time you will be coming to this pool. The pool in this photo, unfortunately, has the dome that they keep on it throughout the winter and spring months, but that will be down, and the pool is an open air outdoor pool. That orange square that you see in the middle, that is where the registration and screening is going to be. So you can park in the parking lot that's right across from that, walk across, get screened, and then athletes and coaches will be going into the program area in the pink square. And then our family members and spectators will be going into the rectangle, that's the yellow square underneath the pool. Again, we want to keep our screened participants separate from our family and spectators who we are not screening for socially distanced purposes. And again, to make sure we're not having anybody that isn't screened intermixing with participants that we have screened for the safety of everybody in the pool deck area. The last thing I will tell you to make note of is that green square towards the top of the pool is where awards will be held after. So we will have an area for the participants right in front of the awards area that they can sit in and hang out in while they get called for their awards. And then we will have a spot for spectators to take photos as well. So everybody will still get to take their photos. An additional note on awards that I'll mention again later is we will have a separate photo booth type of area that our participants, if they don't feel comfortable being handed an award, can take a socially distant photo by themselves if they still don't feel comfortable being handed an award. The last note, which you see on the bottom of the screen here, if somebody starts feeling sick that's a participant, we're going to ask them to move back into where the screening is for a quarantine socially distanced area. You know, if they need to take a break, we'll have a spot there. We'll also have a little spot there if they just need a quiet room type of area to get away from the delegation, if it's a little bit of sensory overload for some participants. Again, this is the first event back, so we know this could be a lot for some folks, and we want to have an area that's a little bit of a peace and quiet spot as well. This just gives you a very simple view of the flow in and out of the pool. Athletes will go into the pool deck through the pool building, through the men's locker room. We won't be using either of the locker rooms. So all the participants will be going through the men's room with no one in there using it. And then all of the participants will exit the pool deck through a gate to the right of the pool building that'll go next to awards. So we will flow in and out in that direction, one way in, one way out for distancing and not having any issues with people getting too close. The program area. So this is the view of what that pink square looked like. Very big area, a lot of tree coverage. We have told coaches that they're allowed to bring easy up pop-up tents for programs to stake out some area to give some coverage. The good news is while we will be in the sun for most of the morning, this area is very well covered by trees. So athletes should be very much out of the sun in this area and in the staging area next to it. We do ask if participants and programs are going to put up tents that they do put them behind where those two big trees are, so there's enough room to walk and operate outside of the program area. So some additional competition information. The top part of this, again, pretty much reiterates, please be there by 9 to 9:30 for screening. If you can get there earlier, again, that's great. We will be able to accommodate screening probably at 8:45. maybe even a little bit earlier if you get there that early. So we'll take care of you as soon as we can. Anybody that's a registered member of the delegation that is signed up with part of the team for the event, athletes, partners, which we don't have any unified partners for relays this time around, delegation volunteers and coaches will all go through the health screening. If you are just a parent and or spectator or caregiver, and you're not part of the team for that day, you will go into the spectator area instead. There's some information on here. Again, we ask coaches to, let us know about scratches in the beginning of the morning. So if you wake up that morning as an athlete or as a parent of an athlete and someone's not feeling good, if you're not going to make it, please communicate to your coaches as soon as you can. Hey, we're not going to make it. Thanks for giving us this opportunity. Please let them know we're not going to make it so we can scratch them and know for our heats that we're putting in the pool. The last thing that I will let you guys know is that if an athlete isn't there for the health screening time, they will be scratched from competition. We do need to move along with our day to make sure everybody gets a good experience. So please, 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 again, make it by that 9 to 9:30 screening time to get your athlete taken care of. Parking, again, the main lot attached to the facility will fill that first. If we do need overflow, the high school next door has said that we can overflow into their parking lot, which is great. I have told coaches that there's very limited handicap spacing. So if you or your athlete needs special handicap parking accommodations, please reach out to your head coach as soon as possible and let them know. At that point, they will reach out to me and we'll assign handicap parking spots. We've also come up with an idea if we need a couple additional, that we can make a couple additional as well. But again, there's very limited designated handicap parking at the facility. Back to the map here, again, you can see all the parking on the top left of the map. You can see a little bit of the overflow parking lot to the very top of the map. Behind where the orange rectangle is for check-in and screening, there's 3 handicap parking spots there. So again, very limited handicap parking. If we need to make more based on requests by parents of athletes or caregivers of athletes, we will figure out how to make a few more spots, but we can't guarantee we're going to have unlimited front row handicap parking. So here's our order of events. Your coaches may have shared with you earlier in the season our more extended order of events. These are the 5 events that athletes decided to register for and coaches register their athletes for. With that said, based on the registration numbers, to make sure that athletes weren't getting thrown in the pool back to back to back for an event, we had to do a little bit of restructuring of the order. But for the most part, there's nobody that's swimming a back-to-back event. Also, you guys may be used to remembering at Towson, we really cooked through and pushed through events as quick as we could to get everybody in the pool. With this limited number of athletes that we have participating in the event on Saturday, we are not going to roll as fast as we typically do. We're going to take it a little bit slower. This is everyone's first trip back to the pool in a competition experience. Again, we don't have a huge number of athletes participating, but that's going to give each athlete a better individual experience overall. So we're going to take our time. Everybody's going to have a really excellent day. And we're not going to push through staging like we typically do for summer games. Pool deck and staging access. We are only having participating athletes and coaches on the deck. If you're used to going to Towson, we don't let very many people on the deck in the first place besides athletes and coaches there. And we're still not doing that for the pool this year. We have a little bit more space, but because of social distancing procedures, we want to keep the pool deck as clear as possible. I've even told my management team, if you don't need to be on the pool deck, don't be on the pool deck. We want it to be the athletes that are getting priority access, coaches that need to be on there, and the officials. That is the main group that we're going to have on there besides our timers out of the management team. So for the venue opening ceremony that we're having, coaches and athletes will be on the deck. They will be facing what will be the starting line. in the pool. So the athletes will be swimming towards the spectators, but for opening ceremonies, they will have their backs towards the spectators. Spectators and families, again, the spectator area is a great spot. It's as good as we could get to the gallery at Towson. It overlooks the pool on a little hill. And it's going to be a really nice day for spectators too, even though they're not on the deck. The one big note that I like to remind folks of, it's a half-day event, so we're not serving lunches to delegation members. Please have your athletes eat a good breakfast so that they're prepared to compete and they have enough food in them. And then after, be prepared to potentially stop on the way home. I will say in the Lexington Park area where the pool is, there's a bunch of different food options. There's places like Chipotle and those semi-fast food kind of places. There's a couple nice sit-down places if you decide you want to sit down after. If you're coming in the morning and you need a Starbucks fix, as soon as you pull on to Three Notch Road off of Route 4, I believe it is, which the Upper Shore people should be coming down, there's a Starbucks right there. So if you need your Starbucks fix, it is available before you get to the venue. But again, not doing lunches this year. We will be out of the pool and done by 12 o'clock, pretty much on the dot. We have one Starbucks fan that's excited for that announcement. Spectators, again, anyone that is not a registered member of the delegation that wasn't submitted by the coaches to be part of the delegation is a spectator. If you have somebody that is questionable, that's not sure if they are a delegation member or not, check with your head coach. You could always ask at the check-in and screening. We will have those lists as well. But anybody, again, who is not a registered member of the delegation is a spectator, and there's a really nice spot overlooking the pool from the hill. This is the view. It's a nice little hill here. You can see everything from the pool. There's one tree that gives you a little bit of shade, but we are saying that if spectators also want to bring an easy up, a pop-up tent, if you want to bring your own lawn chairs, that's all fine. But we do ask that you keep any easy ups or pop-up tents behind this tree that you see in the photo. We want to have the lower end of the hill itself, and the top of the hill accessible for people to stand and sit and watch the events for the day. From there, we don't want to obstruct their view to the pool. Awards, again, I mentioned that we are going to do awards at the end. Typically, we do awards in a rolling fashion where athletes get their awards after their events. Based on the limited number of athletes that we have, we want to do a socially distant award ceremony at the end so everybody gets their own experience of their own award ceremony. So everybody will be presented both of their awards individually at the end of the event. So everybody's going to get an award ceremony, and it's going to be a really good experience. Again, to reiterate something that I mentioned in the beginning, if you have an athlete that's not comfortable being handed an award in a presentation, they can pick up their award. They'll be pre-bagged, and there will be a separate area that they can take photos with their awards that isn't amongst all the other people or the awards presenters. This is the awards area. If you squint really hard, you can see off to the right towards the building. There's a gate there, and that's where athletes will be coming out of. We will run a stanchion alongside of that so that there's a defined area between exiting the pool and where awards will happen. But again, for the most part, we are going to allow the athletes to sit on the green lawn and be presented their awards towards the gate area. We will have a spot along the side for spectators to come up and take photos. But for the most part, we're going to ask spectators to stand back on the sidewalk area. The angle that I took this at is a little deceiving of how long this lawn area looks. A little bit of an optical illusion here. When you get there, you will see it is not as far away as this picture makes it seem that it is. So that's really it for the main presentation. We wanted to give you the information about the main points of arrive on time to get in there for screening and check-in, what the competition time looks like, where we're going to have the athletes and coaches located, where we're going to have the spectators located, and what the awards game plan is. if you have questions, my email is right here. Your coach also has my email, and your coach may also be able to answer extra questions from information that we've specifically given to coaches. But at this point, I'm going to open it up to questions. If anybody has a question, again, you can type it into the chat. You can physically or virtually raise your hand and we'll open your line as well. Mr. Dooley, see if you can unmute. If not, I will unmute you. I think I'm
You,
there you go.
I
Chris.
got it. Do you want us the first day to come dressed in our bathing suits?
Yep.
That'd
Yeah, that's
be a good idea.
that's a great question. I think most programs have been running the concept of come to practice ready to swim with your suit. You know, have something pulled over them. So please do come to competition ready to swim. We are not going to have access to the locker rooms like I mentioned before. So have swimwear under your sweatpants or whatever you decide to wear over them. Good question, Chris.
Thank you.
Again, if anybody has any other questions, feel free to unmute, raise your hand, type it into chat. All right, I'm not seeing anything, and that's okay. Again, if you have a question that pops up between now and Saturday, feel free to ask your coaches. They will take care of you guys, and if they don't have the answer themselves, they will ask it through me and they'll get the answer for you guys. Other than that, I just want to thank you guys for all participating in a great season this year. I want to thank all the athletes for coming out and doing their thing. I know it's been a year, but you guys have come out and, you know, come out as strong as you usually do. We're really excited to see you on Saturday. And to all the parents and spectators and caregivers that have helped our athletes get to this point, I cannot thank you guys enough for everything that you've done. Mike, do you have something you want to add before we close?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a favor of everybody, and if you could spread this word as well. I know all of our training programs, yeah, as Zach said, it's been a challenging year, and you know we are thrilled to be able to have this. But please take a moment if you can, and thank the folks at Great Mills Swimming Pool, the St. Mary's County folks who helped us arrange this, since it worked out that we couldn't hold it at Towson, and any of the volunteers. I know that they're getting the benefits and the smiles of seeing you guys compete. But if you could be sure to tell them a thank you, that would be really helpful. And then one other just friendly reminder, I know you guys will do this anyway, but leave the space in better shape than you find it. So clean up your trash, all that kind of stuff. There should be plenty of trash bags or trash cans around. But thank you, and I am really looking forward to seeing all of you in a couple days.
Yep, can't thank you guys all enough. Really excited to see you all in a few days too. Have a great evening, everybody.